Now let's move on to, which we talked about a little bit so far, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 120,000, and yesterday a little bit of a setback for the vote. 13 Republicans voted with the Democrats to block, the new crypto bill, and now we're hearing that a lot of those people are going to change their mind today, and that bill's going to get passed. What do you think?
Oh, something will get passed. I was reading a little bit about this on X, and I couldn't, from what I was quickly reading through, it sounded like they didn't pass the, and I always screw this word up, Frank, procedural vote. Anyway,
there's like several votes. There's one, then it goes for the full house. And
yeah, but it sounded like, hey, there's some disagreement on should we push one bill with kind of 1, 2, or 3 different bills in, because they're talking about the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and then the big hang up from what I could read on some of the Republicans voting no was because the language wasn't strong enough against an anti-central bank digital currency. And, I would kind of tip my hat to that, because these no votes on what's going on right now are I'm using this word because of my lack of vocabulary, grandstanding. It's not that these are not going to get passed. It's simply they're trying to make waves and say, hey, I want to make sure that this gets called out, this gets noticed, and, here's what I'm for or against. Because this is, when the President of the United States, Frank, says this is crypto week, you got to expect something to happen. Maybe, I don't know if it'll go as one bill or a couple, but the point is that when the market sold off a little bit, if you're looking at any stocks, crypto-related stocks, we'll talk about that in a minute, or any currencies on this kind of stuff, listen, I don't know. I do not have a crystal ball. I do, but it's fuzzy. Doesn't work all the time. The point is that these kind of pullbacks is when you want to actually add to it. Because if you honestly think that there's not going to be any legislation passed in the crypto world because of a few hardliner Republicans, then just look back and see what happened with their big, beautiful bill.
It's pretty simple, okay? Everything that Trump wants to do, he's going to be able to do. It's that simple, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so these 13 Republicans, do you know, Daniel, what the record is? The Republicans' record for every person that was endorsed by Trump that runs in Congress. Do you know what their record is after Trump endorsed them?
Pretty good.
95%. 95%. So if Trump endorses you, you win, right? You win. So if you're a Republican, you either support him or you lose your job when re-election comes. So those 13 Republicans, they said, well, I'm not too sure, whatever. He brought them in a room immediately and said, hey, look, you're going to vote yes. And they were like, okay. And maybe there was something giving under the table because they're all politicians or whatever, but they're going to quickly change their mind if they want to keep their job. And that's all politicians want to do. So you can hate politics as much as you want. They're going to say anything and do anything on both sides to keep their job, and that's how they keep their job. All right, you have the Senate, you have the House, Republican, almost everything with his agenda is going to get passed, at least right now, to the midterms. Now, what happens is you had a little bit of setback. You saw some of the stocks and Coinbase and Robinhood pull back a little bit. Now, today they're going back up again. And more importantly, that's just happened yesterday, today. But if you're looking at Bitcoin, this is last week in a week, right? We're going, below 100,000 to 120,000, like that. So something that we said was going to happen because of the economics, because of the massive institution adoption that's coming in, right? Simple economics, right? There's only a limited amount, and you have massive, massive, massive demand that keeps coming and coming and coming. And now we're starting to see even the bigger names within crypto take off, like Ethereum's over 3,000, Solana, Chainlink is on fire. A lot of these names are in our crypto portfolio. Plus, we're seeing many of the Bitcoin miners that are changing their strategy to crypto treasuries, not just for when it comes to Bitcoin, just like they did, MicroStrategy and following Michael Saylor, but now they're doing Ethereum, which is Tom Lee's company.
Oh, talk about that.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah. So the news on that. So that's Bitmine Immersion Technologies. The chart? No, I'll bring it up now.
We had talked about this. I had no idea where the stock rallied, and I had no idea how far the stock had fallen. So I was curious.
Oh, yeah. It fell a ton. Yeah.
So did you know it went to 160?
I knew it went to 120. I think I saw 120 last time. I know it went to 160. But
the chart I'm looking at is at 160, and then it goes down to 40.
And it goes down, yes. And now it's up 22% today, or 20% today.
Because?
Because Peter Thiel took a position in it.
How about that?
So you're looking at Peter Thiel taking a position in it. I have the chart up right now. This thing just came out and was $4, and now it's $47. It was $4 2 weeks ago. And it's $47, and it went to 135. 100. You said 100.
This chart's showing 160.
160. It says it went to 160. So this is the closing range at 135. So 160. Oh my God, this is fantastic. I love with 2.4 billion, right? Where they have revenue of 5 million. Awesome. 2.4 billion. You could do the sales on that. Right now, they should, even right now, they should just raise as much money as they possibly can because that's what they're doing. They're raising money and they're pouring it into, and this one's going to be into Ethereum, which again, Ethereum has an unlimited supply. It's not like Bitcoin. Eventually, this gets a little crazy, but right now it's hot and that's fine. And now you have Peter Thiel getting involved in it. And when I look at Peter Thiel, I'm like, well, maybe this isn't so crazy. Why? Because Peter Thiel is a stud. Don't get cute with that. We won't get cute with that. I'm just saying he is a stud when it comes to investing. Okay, he's a co-founder of PayPal and Palantir. Early investor in Facebook. The earliest investor in Facebook. Early investor in OpenAI. Investor in Polymarket, which just got all the BS lawsuits dismissed. Investor in Tagomi, which was bought by Coinbase. Early investor in Stripe. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. And I have to say, if I have to look at his wealth over the next 3 to 4 years, I think that his total wealth is going to double because he made one big decision, which I think was very, very popular. It was very unpopular, but now it's extremely popular, is he's a big supporter of Donald Trump when everybody hated Donald Trump and everyone ran from him.
He was the first go-around.
He was, the first go-around. So the fact that he supported, he gave a lot of money to J.D. Vance early on. And now, when you're in that circle, I just explained, look at Pennsylvania, look at the Middle East. When you're in that circle of politics and you supported someone that long, so you brought up Larry Fink. Larry Fink switched because he had to switch, right? He loved the Biden administration, said DEI. You see a video from 2022, put in Larry Fink DEI. It's a video saying DEI is the future. Everything has to be equal. We have to hire more minority, all this stuff with DEI. And now Trump's elected. He's phasing out of all of it. And he was like, this has to be, this is our long-term strategy forever. A couple of years later, gone, right? Okay, he's playing politics. I'm not getting pissed. If you're looking at Peter Thiel supported Trump and nobody liked Trump, right? And now it gives you such an advantage in a market where you're going to see incredible M&A opportunities. The market's going to be on fire. You're going to have deregulation. This guy's going to have access beyond access now to all the great name companies. And he's going to have President Trump on speed dial. So, just him investing in this company makes me think a lot different than it. I don't know if I'll say the same for Bit Digital, SharpLink Gaming, BitMine. These are some of the others.
If you would pull that one up, BT, Bit Digital. Because I've talked about this one. This one is also a Ethereum treasury company. They came out, it was popping a little bit today because they announced that one of their companies is going to file for an IPO, White Fiber's proposal, initial
so
public
15%.
offering. So that's a good pop too. This is also a Ethereum treasury play. I'm not saying we're endorsing. We were talking in the past podcast about, hey, these are very tradable. I mean, these are going to be volatile, but we know a lot of our audience wants different ideas in this. And that one is, like I said, an Ethereum play, but it's rallying hard. And what I think is good to see is, you got your Bitcoin and then the other cryptos. They are participating in this rally. I think that's because of the legislation that's being tossed around right now. I could be wrong about that. But if you see the other cryptos outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, as Frank mentioned, the big dogs moving, then keep your wits about you. But you talk about opportunity. It almost sounds like Goldman Sachs. I mean, if that market's moving and the stocks are moving like that, then again, I'm saying a tradable opportunity there. And that's what we want to do is give you guys ideas. And that was popping because of that news behind it.
Yeah. Bit Digital has underperformed significantly. It's only up 90% in the past 3 weeks with these names.
But you ain't wrong. It's underperforming.
If I could explain this to you, and this is things that I've learned, in order for this to work, in order for SPACs to work, you always have to have the retail investor out there. You have to have the retail investor to sell a lot of this stuff too, and they got to get excited, right? That creates liquidity. This is all driven by liquidity. Otherwise, these things don't happen. So when you have massive liquidity, like the volume on this is 50 million shares, right? 50 million shares. That's what the biggest investors want to see. You're looking at 22 million shares trading of a $50 stock right now with BitMine Emergence, right? Which is Tom Lee's. So now you have to get the financiers involved. If you want them involved, the first thing they say is how we get liquidity on this thing. You can get liquidity. You need liquidity. Then they say, okay, how can we do this? Well, we could do reverse mergers. So they find companies that are just dormant, that have already went through the regulation process, that are already traded. This way you don't have to go through the BS. Why? Because there's a lot of scrutiny behind that compared to just doing a reverse merger. Now, what does that mean? When you're going to do a reverse merger, you get to determine the structure. And that structure, believe me, if that was out front, you'd be like, get the F out of here. Because what you're going to see is massive amount of warrants are going to get executed at like 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents for, BitMine Immersion that went to 160. Imagine that, right? You wonder why the stock went from 160 to 50 immediately. I mean, look at that chart again, right? And these guys could execute that and exercise these warrants immediately with no time, right? So you have all this stuff going on under the hood. I've got a great education in this, especially in the past 5 years, just the pipe investors and people involved. So you have to get those people to get them attracted. And what do they say? Okay, we need a big name. We need a big name that the retail investor knows that has a lot of clout. Okay, Tom Lee, Justin's son, right? I mean, who's the other guy who's on one of these? A young kid. Another one who's on another of these. But you're seeing like James Altucher. You're going to see big names that have influence. Okay, we got the big name. Now we can structure the company. The big name is going to provide the retail investors, which we're going to see liquidity. And now we have the liquidity. What happens after that? They don't care. They're not in these things for the long term. I mean, I don't think Tom Lee really knows what he's getting into here. We'll see. He's got his name on a project, and that's great. Good for him. But it could result in your credibility really getting nailed when the people making the most money are the people that are in this thing at $1, $2, $3. You might have bought this at 20 and it went and you got out at 50, 60, 70. Good for you. Just be careful. Just like what we said with SPACs. We're able to see that. And we said SPACs, a lot of them are bullshit. 95% of them are down more than 90%. From the 2021, 2022 when they came out. And then you saw a lot of BS, a lot of these companies, all the insiders. I mean, Chamath right out there, right? I always talk about him.
I love that.
Because it's the example that everybody knows. And I love him. I think he's brilliant. But what they did to the individual investor and the retail investors is sad. They just basically hyped up a story and said, okay, we're out of here, made $300 million each, him and Branson. You could see that across the board with a lot of these.
Hey, that's coming back. That's all the way up to $3.18 now. $3.18 for those of you following along.
318. What's the symbol of stock?
SHI. No, I'm kidding. SPCE. See, that's genuine. See, I got him. I got Frank there. That's a genuine.
SHI. That was very, very good. Yeah, it's the Virgin Galactic. Just seeing this thing. Yeah.
Hit like a monthly target, and then it goes back to the highs, and it should be huge because of the reverse splits it had to do.
Yeah. So this is, if you go to 1 year, it's down. It was $8 a year ago, and it's $3.20. It was $5.50 6 months ago. Yeah.
6 months ago?
6 months ago. Yeah. It was over $5. So it's $5.25.
Gosh.
Yeah. Anyway. And that's $3.21. And then when you go back to when the hype was right here is, oh my God.
Well, it's COVID. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I believe
2021. And I mean, it's unbelievable what these guys have done and where they've gotten out. I think they got out. I don't know why it's showing this on this chart, but it was like $35 or something, like $33 on average when they got out.
It was a good return.
But they sold the story like everyone's going to space and this is a value play. He actually said, this is a value play. This is a great play. And now it's like you're looking at a company that basically, I don't know. This is going to happen within this industry. A lot of this stuff's going to blow up. You can't just follow someone's strategy. I think for Bitcoin, you have a limited supply, so that's an asset that can go up for a lot longer before it gets expensive. And I don't know what that level is. It could be 200,000, maybe 300,000 before people say it's really expensive and it goes down. But when you're going with Ethereum, you're going with Solana, you're going with some of these other currencies like Tau and stuff like that, creating these strategies, be careful. It's a different ball game. It's a totally different ball game, especially with Ethereum. And if you know crypto and smart contracts, and now you could have smart contracts with a lot of different cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin now, right? So it's crazy. I get what they're doing. They're constantly going to buy. It's going to push it up. But just know the volatility now is pretty crazy. But Peter Thiel definitely puts that stamp of approval on that. That's huge that he bought that. That puts that on more of a level playing field. Maybe that's a big winner because, look, there was SPACs. DraftKings was a winner. There's a couple SPACs that were winners. Not all of them were winners. Palantir, right? So, you're looking at some SPACs are winners. 95% were not. But some of them are. This might be the one winner out, especially with Peter Thiel's name on it, which is kind of interesting. I was just surprised to see that. And it just came out before we came on today. So it was pretty cool.